Hello, my name is Lauren, and welcome to the Theoretical YouTube channel, where all we want to do is go to Hogwarts. Is that too much to ask for? Anyway, Harry Potter is such an amazing phenomenon. I mean, there is some weird stuff in that series, and yet we all still love it so much. Guys, it's been out for 20 years now. Harry Potter is older than me. And of course, one of the most amazing parts of any franchise is the references. And possibly the best known Harry Potter line of all time is the phrase, 10 points to Gryffindor. I mean, everybody uses it. You don't even have to know the names of all 4 houses to get this one. People who love the series use it, people who hate the series use it. It's in pickup lines, satire skits, you name it. Even my grandmother has probably bought enough Harry Potter merchandise for me and my siblings to get the joke. Well, okay, maybe not grandma, but she doesn't watch these things anyway. But the point system at Hogwarts is the weirdest thing, because sometimes the numbers don't even matter. Like, I'm not even kidding when I say that in the first book, Harry is worried about losing 2 whole points in his first potions class. But then 6 books later, Snape legitimately takes 70 points because Harry was late to the feast. That basically went from 0 to 60 in what, 2,232 pages? Okay, better example. McGonagall takes away 150 points from Gryffindor for kids wandering about at night. And then Dumbledore gives them 170 for defeating the most evil wizard known in history and getting past a series of dangerous obstacles specifically designed by teachers in order to stop full-grown wizards. I feel like they deserve a little bit more than that.
Gryffindor wins the House Cup.
Anyway, the question that we're going to answer today is not about Dumbledore's tendency to just give Gryffindor whatever they need to win. We are going to figure out who single-handedly earned the most house points during Harry's 6 years at school. And believe me, it's more surprising than you'd ever imagine. So, in order to calculate exactly how many points each and every character earned during the book series, I meticulously pored over every page. You kidding me? I just command F'd the word points in a ton of PDFs. But hey, I get some credit here. I mean, J.K. Rowling used that word over 200 times. Do you know how many times someone points a wand in this series? Well, neither do I, but it was enough to take at least 2 hours to dig through. Anyway, for those people I completely alienated in the introduction, the Hogwarts house point system works like this. There are 4 big hourglasses in the Great Hall that fill with precious gems when students earn points for their houses. The House Cup goes to the house with the most points at the end of the year. Students earn points for answering questions correctly, helping teachers, and defeating the Dark Lord on school property. They lose points for cheating, being late, fighting, and being a Gryffindor in Snape's class.
Turn to page 394.
And basically the whole system is biased and flawed, and somehow Harry wins every year. But how many points did he actually earn? And today we're finally going to answer the question of who earned the most house points during their time at Hogwarts. Was it Harry, Ron, Hermione, Draco, Neville, some random background character Snape caught kissing in a bush? Yeah, that happened. Without further ado, let's begin. Year 1, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Okay, the first time that we actually see the house point system in action is when Snape takes 2 points from Harry on his first day of school. Wow, off to a big start, aren't we? Hermione has 5 points taken away for trying to fight a troll. Both Harry and Ron are awarded 5 points for doing the exact same thing.
For sheer dumb luck.
And then Harry loses 5 points for taking a library book outside of the library. Then we get on to some more impressive numbers. Draco loses 20 points for wandering around the castle, and later in the same chapter, Harry, Hermione, and Neville all lose 50 for the same reason.
50 each.
How is that fair? Anyway, Ron was in the hospital wing recovering from a dragon bite, so he missed out on the adventure and the subsequent punishment. As you've probably noticed, we are following the books and not the movies, because the movies got some stuff wrong. So then everybody hates Harry because he lost him all those points and he becomes super unpopular. Then they defeat Voldemort, and Dumbledore gives the most famous example of gaming the system for Gryffindor to win. Ron gets 50 points for playing a game of chess, Hermione gets 50 points for basically being a genius, Harry gets 60 for defeating the most evil wizard of all time, and Neville gets 10 so that they'll win the House Cup.
Gryffindor wins the house.
Moving on to year 2, Chamber of Secrets. Hermione starts off the year by answering 2 questions about mandrakes and herbology, earning her 10 points apiece. Then she gets 100% on Lockhart's quiz about himself, and earns herself another 10. Ron loses 5 points when he insults Percy, who caught him in the girls' bathroom, but that doesn't matter because at the end of the year, Dumbledore gives him and Harry 200 points each for defeating the Basilisk.
Thanks.
And Gryffindor wins the House Cup. Obviously.
Obviously.
Year 3, Prisoner of Azkaban. Hermione loses 5 points for helping Neville with his potion. I guess that's cheating. But Lupin gives a ton of points away for his lesson on Boggarts. Dean, Parvati, and Seamus each earn 5 points, then Neville gets 10, Harry, Ron, and Hermione also secure 5. But when Snape is filling in for Lupin, Harry's late to class and loses 10 points. Then he proceeds to argue with Snape and loses an additional 5. And then in the same class, Hermione has 5 knocked off for being
An insufferable know-it-all.
And a few days later in potions class, Ron hits Draco in the face with a crocodile heart, possibly the coolest crime in the whole series, but it costs him 50 points. Draco also loses 50 points for doing a Dementor impression in order to try and sabotage the Gryffindor Quidditch team. Year 4, Goblet of Fire. Now, while the Quidditch Cup was cancelled,
We can't cancel Quidditch.
it looks like the House Cup was not, because everyone still manages to lose points. That's right, from Harry's perspective in Goblet of Fire, not a single student managed to earn a single point for the entire year. After Hermione is assaulted and cursed in the hallway, Harry and Ron yell at Snape, causing him to take 50 points from each of them. Snape also takes 10 points from Hermione for gossiping during class, and then another 10 for reading a magazine under the table. He also takes 10 from 2 random characters named Fawcett and Stebbins, who he found kissing in a bush.
You must. 10 points from Hufflepuff, Fawcett, and the same for Ravenclaw, Stebbins.
Overall, Snape was in a really bad mood that year. But you know who was worse? Umbridge. In year 5, Order of the Phoenix. Oh boy. Alright, here we go. First of all, Umbridge takes 10 points from Harry for his comments about Voldemort in their first class. This is also where he earns his infamous series of detentions. I should also mention here that detentions are a huge punishment at Hogwarts, and if you did something bad enough to earn a detention, you might not have had house points taken away from you. But Harry also loses 5 points from McGonagall when she learns about his detentions with Umbridge. In the same conversation, she also takes 5 from Angelina Johnson, who was yelling at Harry for having to skip Quidditch practice in order to serve his detentions. Meanwhile, Hermione is racking up points in Care of Magical Creatures when she answers 2 questions about Bowtruckles for 10 points apiece. And when Hagrid returns, she earns another 10 points for knowing about Thestrals. However, she has a small argument with Umbridge and ends up losing 5 for basically nothing. Harry, Ron, and Neville beat up Draco after some rude comments, which gets them a collectively docked 10 points, which I split into 3 each. Well, I can round down. Anyway, Umbridge takes another 50 from Harry because he did an interview with the Quibbler. But literally every other teacher supports him, so Professor Sprout ends up giving him 20 points for passing her a watering can. But then Draco goes on a power trip with his newfound authority on the Inquisitorial Squad. He docks 5 from Hermione for being rude, Ron for having his shirt untucked, Ernie Macmillan for nothing, and Harry just because. Then he takes another 10 from Hermione for being a mudblood. Draco is the worst. Anyway, it all ends well though, because Harry, Ron, Hermione, Neville, Ginny, and Luna all earn 50 points for fighting in the Department of Mysteries. And then Snape takes 10 from Harry. For old time's sake. Year 6, Half-Blood Prince. Alright guys, big finish here. Right off the bat, Snape takes 70 points from Harry for being late to the feast and dressed like a muggle. Yeesh, what a poor start. However, Hermione kills this year and grabs 30 points in her first potions class with Professor Slughorn for basically having already taken the class. Seriously, why does Hermione even bother going to school if she already knows everything already? Hermione rounds out the year by also earning another 10 points for knowing about Gal Palat's law of potion making. You see what I mean? Ron loses 10 points for a hilarious but ill-advised joke about Inferi, and then Harry earns 10 points for turning in a Bezoar as a potions project, and then loses them for being late. Again. Man, that kid really does need a watch.
Perhaps it would be more useful if I were to transfigure Mr. Potter and yourself into a pocket watch. That way one of you might be on time.
Anyway, that is every single time house points are ever given in the Harry Potter series. So who won? Well, you probably noticed I reset the counter after every year so that I could have this big reveal at the end. Because trust me, I was not expecting this. But the character with the highest net total of house points spread across 6 years was Ron Weasley. I mean, what? Ron Weasley, the worst behaved student in Harry's year. The foul-mouthed, foul-tempered, lazy, jealous slacker? The one who's always getting into fights, talking back to teachers, and never gets good grades? How did Hermione not beat him? But not only that, Ron earns twice the amount of points as Hermione. What? Well, here's the thing. Ron basically has the same huge point advantage as Harry. He consistently earns massive amounts of points for saving the school. But Harry gets into a lot of small trouble. He starts fights with teachers, but Ron finishes them. And while Harry loses points, Ron just gets detention. His punishments are worse, but they don't amount to house points. And Hermione just plain misses out on a couple adventures. I mean, if she wasn't paralyzed in Chamber of Secrets and earned 200 points just like Harry and Ron, well, she would have blown them out of the water entirely. So here's our final calculation. Out of all the characters in the Harry Potter series who we see earning and losing points more than once, in last place comes Draco Malfoy with -20. Fourth place goes to Neville Longbottom with 17. Harry secures third with 65, Hermione claims second with 90, and first place goes to Ron Weasley with a whopping 177 points for Gryffindor.
Gryffindor wins.
Okay, but seriously, Hermione deserved it so much more. Anyway, did anyone like this video? I mean, it was a ton of fun to make, but I don't know how interesting it would be to listen to me say the word points 57 times. And if you did like it, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the little bell icon in order to see new content as soon as it comes out, which is probably not often enough to sustain a healthy audience. But that's our problem and not yours. And be sure to also check out our Twitter page at theory_central, where you have the very real possibility of becoming our 8th follower. And that is the highest honor that anyone can achieve on this channel. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.
That was bloody brilliant.
Oh, thank you for that assessment, Mr. Weasley.